And welcome back to Across the Board with E and the Colonel. E can't join us today. He's on assignment elsewhere. But instead, I got Dino from Fear Factory sitting here next to me. He's on my left. You can't see it right now, but trust me, he's there. Dino, what's going on, brother?
Nothing much. Just hanging out here in the back of the bus in Maryland.
Yeah, man. And I'm telling you, this has been a long time coming. I've been waiting a long freaking time to see this show. I've never been able to make it to a Fear Factory show, so this is huge, man. And I'm telling you, what I like about it is the new album, from what I've heard so far, sounds phenomenal. And there's some techniques on there we're going to get to that a little different. And then, be honest with you, just that music, everything from the old Fear Factory to the new Fear Factory, all just, it sticks, man. It really does. What's the secret?
I think that, early on in our career, we just found the right formula and we stuck with it all these years,
Absolutely. And I mean, especially for like you, I mean, for any aspiring bass player and guitar player and anyone just needs to understand that there's if you have a unique sound, it's going to come across, and that's definitely the secret to your success as well.
Correct.
When I'm
writing guitar riffs, I try to write the most catchiest riff I could possibly write.
Yeah,
I mean, I try to write stuff that's going to stick and people can get into right away. Musically, the guitar, bass, and drums are very well locked in together, and then then you throw Burt's aggressive vocals on top, and then he busts out with this beautiful melodic voice, and it just opens things up majorly, and it takes the song to a different place.
And that's definitely something I think that can be said for too. Is Burt's vocals, he's just got this. He's got a voice where he can get that growl in there if need be. But when he's singing, man, it's awesome. It really is.
It's soaring. Yeah, it's definitely soaring. We discovered that earlier in our career. Burt we were at rehearsal writing songs. This is like 1990, and we were writing songs, and all of a sudden Burt just started singing his part. We're like, wait a minute, what was that? Go back. He goes, oh, I was just messing around. I'm like, no, do that again. And we knew right there that we had something different, and that's and we stayed with it.
Yeah, and you should, because to be honest with you, if I ever, like, when I start working out, Fear Factory comes on. It has to be. It's just it's music that can get you amped, get you pumped, and a show like this is just so adrenaline packed.
Yeah. When we came up with the name Fear Factory, we were like, okay, factory, machines, assembly lines, and so on and so on. So we decided, what's that going to sound like? So when we were writing the music, we were like, okay, we want it to sound like a well-oiled machine.
And it definitely comes through.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, and that's another thing too. A lot of your albums have that futuristic, sort of robotic, almost theme that the albums stick to.
Correct.
And was that planned all from the beginning as well with the name, or did it just happen to come along as the band matured?
It kind of came along with the theme and just the name of the title of Fear Factory, title of the band, and just being a fan of futuristic movies and Blade Runner, Terminator,
absolutely,
Dune, and movies like that. It really, really inspired us, just to think ahead and think of the future, and just kind of in some ways take things that are going on now, but at the same time add our own twist on it and what it would be like in the future. And we always just had fun with it, you know what I mean? And some of it is really serious because we take social aspects of what's going on today.
Right. And I remember the first time I listened through Obsolete all the way through. And then I was like, man, I just love the fact that each song ties into it. It's almost like it's a story, and a lot of bands can't pull off concept albums.
Correct.
So
yeah, I remember when we came out with Obsolete, a lot of people kind of shunned it because they didn't get it. Because the last time people heard of concept records was like Pink Floyd or something like that. The Wall, you know what I mean? And actually, we got compared to it, and a lot of journalists kind of laughed about it, but it was our biggest selling record.
I've never seen anything wrong with being compared to Pink Floyd.
Neither do I.
I don't understand what the problem is.
Maybe in the metal journalist world, maybe they didn't have issues with it.
I just don't think they know what they're doing, because to be honest with you,
I'm just saying a lot of people scoffed at it, but we're like we're one of those bands that it doesn't matter what people say. We do what we do, and obviously a band like Fear Factory has definitely influenced a lot of bands, especially Burt's vocal style. It became a staple to music today.
And of course, the new album is called The Industrialist. Comes out next week. No, next month, June 5th.
June 5th,
right.
Correct.
And what is, there's an interesting recording technique you guys did with this album. I just found out earlier today you guys did the album without a live drummer.
Correct.
And that is it's an interesting concept. And honestly, listening to Recharger, I couldn't exactly tell, because you never know with drum triggers and everything.
That's exactly how that's exactly how technology's gone today. You can make, we are trying to make robots more human. We're trying to make technology more human-like.
Right.
To think like humans, to mess up like humans, to and in some ways to be better human. But, for us, a band like Fear Factory, we've embraced that technology for years. Ever since our first EP that we released called Fear is the Mind Killer.
Right.
When we met a producer named Reese Fulber, who was back in 1992, was able to afford, all that technology, and we incorporated in the Fear Factory. And that's pretty much was the birth of this whole, human and technology combining together in the music for us. So, for us to use a drum machine on this record actually wasn't new. Me and Bert did our first demo of Fear Factory with a drum machine, and through various albums we used drum machines on Demanufacture. There's a song called New Breed, it was all drum machine, and on the last record we used there was 2 songs on the record also was drum machine. So we thought it was only logical for us to do it this way, and plus the way the music industry is going, it was very cost effective for us.
I'm sure it is.
Instead of having to hire somebody, and pay them thousands of dollars, you're able to save the money and to spend it elsewhere.
Right, and of course, you do have a drummer that's going to be with you on tour, Mike Heller, formerly of System Divide.
Yes.
And what does he bring to the live show
And Malignancy.
Yes, Emily. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's what does having a drummer like Mike bring to the show as well?
Well, Mike definitely is a very, very tight drummer. Very, very mechanical drummer, and he plays everything to a T to all the records. You'll see tonight.
Oh, sure.
And he just brings a whole new spark and a whole new energy, and he just makes it sound really tight back there.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for us to follow.
And it does. A good rhythm section helps the rest of the band keep in flow too.
Correct. You want to make sure you have that guy behind you that you can trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And earlier you mentioned Fear is the Mind Killer. Of course, I'm a big, I'm a geek. I know where that came from, Dune, and that you talked about how that influenced you guys earlier on. What else influenced you with your playing style? Because your style is unique. I mean, did you hear something and say, I want to be something like him, but not exactly him, or was it just fooling around on the guitar one day? Or
well, the first guy who ever inspired me to play guitar was Angus Young. I was like 8-9 years old, and I saw AC/DC, and I was like, wow. Then obviously it progresses over the years, and people like Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
On the first record, he had a really amazing guitar tone, which I fell in love with. And it just progresses from there to people like James Hetfield and the guys in Slayer, and just every guitar player you can think of, really inspired me, and I learned something from all of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the key is to make it, obviously take your inspirations and create something new out of it. And for me, it was the whole thing of, the melodicness, and to take stuff from, movies that I really liked, and then take all this guitar player stuff that influenced me and mesh it all together. And I just really wanted to emulate a machine.
Right.
So a lot of people say my right hand is like a machine gun, because it's like,
I can attest.
It's very tight, and I really, really practice hard at doing that.
That's something, you got to practice that. You can't. Yeah. That's just it's technique.
And also in sampling stuff, like for instance, like even hip hop music to industrial music, people sample and they make loops over and over and over again. So my thing was to make a riff sound like a loop, but I'm playing it.
And that takes a lot of skill.
For instance, and you repeat it over and over again, and it sounds like a loop, but it's not. It's me playing it, and I really, really, try to make it sound like that.
What do you think?
Because that was our cheap way of doing it, instead of just looping it, because we couldn't afford it.
But you know what? Invention comes out of necessity.
Exactly.
And to be honest with you,
you're right. And it created a style.
Yeah, it did. And a lot of guys try to emulate your style and cannot. I mean, and I'm talking about the whole, band wide. People can't sing like Burton. They've tried. They can't do it.
There's a lot of people who are very, very, very much influenced by music, and the heavy melodic vocals is very much in everything now.
Right.
Every band you can think of in the last 15 years have tried it, have done it, recorded it, you know what I mean? Or, somebody in the band has done it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean the other thing too is that, when you look at your influences, when you go back and listen to all these albums, for people who haven't heard Fear Factory for some reason, I don't know, crawl out under a rock, but what would you tell to them to expect when listening to a Fear Factory album?
The funny thing is that when a lot of people, like for instance, a lot of the newer kids who don't know their history, like will hear a band like Kill Switch Engage,
right?
Or they hear a band like Five Finger Death Punch, and be like, and then they just discover Fear Factory. Oh, well, they sound like Five Finger Death Punch. Hello.
Yes.
We've been around like
a lot longer than them.
Yes, 20 years longer than them. You know what I mean? Just a lot of kids, a lot of new generation. A lot of kids just don't know their history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
it's like me not knowing Pink Floyd or Deep Purple or Black Sabbath or
right.
all those bands.
Do you feel like because you guys didn't get mainstream that it takes away from your legacy at all? Because I know some bands, they want to get that mainstream because that helps what they think it helps them achieve greatness. Yeah. Or do you think that's the secret to your legacy?
Well, we had a little bit of a mainstream on Obsolete because we did a cover song called Cars, and which hit radio. But we realized that once the radio was gone, so were all those fly-by-night fans.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but the real fans stuck around, and that's where you really want to reach people, like bands like Slayer, bands like Motorhead, bands like Iron Maiden. Those bands weren't radio bands, but they got legions of fans because they love them because they haven't, been on the radio or MTV. Well, not that much MTV, but.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and bringing that up, it actually reminds me of back when I was in commercial radio in '98. I remember when Obsolete was out, I was trying to push my MD to play Fear Factory, and he listened to it, and he's like, I guess Descent is the only song we can really play. I'm like, come on, man, grow some balls.
Yeah.
But,
well, it was definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like even a song like Replica, I mean, now it could be on the radio. But back in the early 90s, no, it couldn't have been on the radio.
No.
Modern rock was really softer than how it is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you hear
right.
commercial metal bands like Five Finger Death Punch with double bass.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Five Finger.
No, neither am I. Neither am I. Not at all. Not at all.
I
just hope one day they'll take us on tour.
Yeah. What bands do you think? I know you've been out on tour a lot, and there's a lot of bands that are really underappreciated. What band do you feel like you remember is really underappreciated? I like this band that's on tour with us right now called The Browning. I really like what they're doing, and I really hope that they stick around long enough and keep doing it. For people like me and Burton, I call us lifers. It's people who make this their life. And I just hope that other bands can do the same thing. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You've done this enough. You don't plan on getting out of it. You don't plan on until when you're done, you're done.
When I'm done, I'm done. Exactly.
That's right. Let me ask you a question. We like to ask this to all of our guests on the show, and we get a lot of interesting answers to this. If you knew the world was about to end, in 5 to 10 minutes, Dino, what would be the last song you'd want to hear or perform? I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I would like to perform a song from AC/DC that pretty much describes my whole career and life. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Absolutely. That would be a good song to go out to.
That's one of the reasons why I loved AC/DC, because they were true.
And they've got the staying power too. Power. That's definitely something. Again,
people
can
are like,
see music.
Well, they've been putting out the same record for 20 years. I mean, 40 years. I'm like, well, do you want them to do something different? Want them to do a techno record or something? You know what I mean?
I'm not trying to take away from Kiss or anything, but no one's trying to put out, dubstep records or anything.
Made for loving you, baby.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm surprised Gene Simmons hasn't done a dubstep Kiss remix or something.
Give him time.
Give him time.
Give him time and the right producer, I guess. Dino, again, Fear Factory's new album is called The Industrialist. Comes out June 5th. If you haven't seen these guys on tour, you absolutely have to. I mean, I've waited 15 years for this to happen, and I'm telling you, it's a milestone in my life. I can tell you, and to have the opportunity to sit here and talk to you about it makes it even that much more special.
For all the latest info, go to fearfactory.com. If you want to see stuff on YouTube, Fear Factory Music, /YouTube, all that stuff. Anyways, go there and you'll see all the new updates. You'll see all the new videos. We're going to be releasing a lot of stuff coming up. We're doing a whole new a video for a song called New Messiah, and it's going to be a series of videos where actually me and Burton, or no music is going to be. I mean, no musicians are going to be in it.
Okay.
It's all acting. So it's going to be like, short. Well, can call them short movies in a way.
Okay.
They're going to be like anywhere between 7 to 10 minutes long, and it's going to be a continuation to the story of the concept.
Cool.
They're actually working on it now, filming it now.
Absolutely, man.
So
I can't wait to see
really
that.
Cool. Then. And we can't wait for people to look at it and see it.
Good. And I'm telling you, like E always harps, guys. Don't just buy a single. Buy the album. Don't just listen to the music. Experience. Go see them live. Live shows, A, are better. B, that's how the musicians make their money. So
exactly.
You gotta go see the live shows.
The way things are now, that's the only way we can really make our money. But even now, it's going to be like, well, I already seen it live on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is no substitute for the human eye and ear. That's for sure.
Exactly. I mean, you want to go there and feel the bass, and get into the pit for some people,
Yeah.
or just go have a beer and watch the band.
I'm a little too old for that nowadays, though.
Well, that's why I say grab a beer and watch the band.
That's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a Jaeger bomb and watch the band. That's what's going to happen for me, I can tell you. Again, thank you, Dino, for joining us, and check it out, Fear Factory. It's called The Industrialist, June 5th. We'll be back here on Across the Board Radio at hawkradio.org and acrosstheboardradio.com.
Thank you very much.